everyone, and welcome to the Chronicles of Yarnia, the podcast for Montclair's local yarn store. My name's Amanda, and I'm bringing you a special episode today. Kathleen has been talking the last couple of episodes about the Stephen West Twists and Turns Mystery Knit Along that's starting on October 6th. She's been picking her colors and getting ready for, I think it might be her first MKAL, and it got me thinking of I love an MKAL, and it got me thinking of all the ones that I've done, and I thought it would be really fun to go through all the shawls I've knit as MKALs and show off which ones I participated in. Maybe you'll find one that you'll like and do it as not a mystery, not a knit along, but just enjoy the shawl, because I find that they're a lot of fun. I did my first mystery knit along in 2017. Mystery knit alongs, for those of you that don't know, are knit alongs. So a bunch of people from all over the place are knitting the same pattern at the same time. And it's a mystery because you don't always know what you're going to be knitting when you start, right? You don't know what the finished product looks like. It's usually a shawl, and sometimes they tell you the shape of the shawl. Sometimes you know how many colors you need and maybe what the attributes of those colors should be. But that's about it. And then it's up to the designer. They release a clue or a part of the pattern every week. And then at the end, everybody has their own version of what that shawl is going to be. Better. Okay, so let's get started. I'm squeezing in this podcast between a couple of meetings today, and I want you guys to be able to see everything because as I was collecting these, I've done a lot of mystery knit alongs. This is my very first one though. So this I started before Yarnia existed. This one I did in 2017, started in January, and this was a Jimmy Beans, the yarn store Jimmy Beans. This was their mystery knit along in 2017. And it is the Semi-Precious Shawl by Rachel Roden. So you can see it here. So this one is knit out of Tosh Merino Light, which is a single ply fingering weight yarn. And the way this one worked is every month you got a little ball of yarn, like maybe 15 grams of yarn. So like in January I got this color yarn and I knit like this little triangle bit, and then in February I got this burgundy color, and the January and February colors were knit together for a little bit, and March and April, right? And so like as this took a whole year because you just got one little skein a month, but I found it like super manageable because each bit only took like maybe 2 or 3 days, you know, even once it got a little bit longer. Yeah, this was a really fun one, and I wear this a lot. These are definitely colors that I wouldn't normally put together. I'm not a big yellow person. I don't wear a ton of orange, but I get so many compliments on this shawl, and I do wear it like all the time, even now, like 5 years later. This is one of my go-tos, you know, when I want a pop of color, especially like on a gray dress like this. Yeah, I wear this one all the time. You'll see me in this at Yarnia a lot if you come by on the weekends. And I really enjoyed working with the Tosh Merino Light. That's probably one reason we carry it now. I mean, it's super popular, but for a good reason. It's delightful in shawls like this. So it's got a little bit of eyelets, a little bit of slip stitches. And this one was really fun. I love the year-long setup. So you sort of committed to it at the beginning of the year, and then you just got a little mailer every month and a new part of the pattern in your Ravelry library. So this was super fun. That was my very first one. And then I loved this mystery knit along so much that we opened Yarnia in 2017. You'll know that if you were at our anniversary sale in store this past week. And if you're not local, we're going to have our anniversary sale online starting October 3rd. So mark that in your calendars. I'll put it here. Just to remind you one more time, October 3rd starts the 5th anniversary sale. But when Yarnia was a online, 5th anniversary sale online, the in-store one will have been finished. But when Yarnia was just a baby company, I knit a sample that was a mystery knit-along. So Andrea Mowry had her mystery knit-along for the What the Fade shawl. I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but it used 6 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and you didn't know what it was going to be. At the time, that was when like the Find Your Fade or Free Your Fade were super popular. The So Faded sweater. So she was really known for the way that she could blend colors in shawls and sweaters and things like that. So that was a huge trend in 2017, using hand-dyed yarns and fading them. I mean, it's still a trend, but I think 2017 it was like height of the trend. So she did this mystery knit along. And so what I did was I thought, okay, great. We have a lot of new, oh my goodness, this lighting is nuts up. I think the sun went behind a cloud. We have a lot of new yarn companies that we're bringing into our brand new baby yarn store. Wouldn't it be cool if I took one of each and put them into a single shawl? So you could, lighting, I should have picked another room. So you could really see the differences and how they play together. So this is my What the Fade. So this shawl starts out as squishy brioche and fades in brioche, and then goes down to garter and fades in garter, and then it has these fun tassels on the end right at all 3 points. This thing is ginormous. I don't think I can get it all on the screen. Yay. So anyway, that's what it looks like. This one almost broke me. This was actually my first time ever knitting brioche, and I figured, well, if I did it in this shawl, I'd figure it out, and I did. So I learned brioche at the beginning, and Andrea has fantastic tutorials that came with this MKAL, so it was easy to follow them and learn how to do brioche, learn how to do the increases, so that was great. But this garter section down here, I mean, there are so many stitches at the end. It took me forever to knit the end of this. I say forever. I mean, I finished it really soon after we opened the store. So it probably took me like a month to knit all this garter. Maybe less than that, maybe 3 weeks. But all I did was knit garter back and forth. That's not my idea of fun knits. I need something to keep my brain occupied, and this definitely, I think I learned I'm not rows and rows of garter person. Even if it's like when I'm working on the, on like my Pokemon blanket where it's a ton of little squares, at least you're doing something, right? You're decreasing to a point, and that's really interesting. I will say, like the granny stripes, now that I'm probably 70% of the way through, it's getting a little tedious, but I do that while I'm watching TV. I watched a lot of TV with this blanket, and I had a deadline, right? Like it was this blanket, it was basically a blanket. But this has been a shop sample at Yarnia for years. The yarns I used, most of them we don't even carry anymore because it's been 5 years. Let's see, I'll tell you what they were. The gray black is Manos del Uruguay Alegria. We do still carry that in the store. Then there's some Molly Girl baseline here, and then we have what's that? Ba La Jolla, which is part of the birthday sale. If you log in on October 3rd, you'll see some Ba La Jolla on sale. Then there's Knitted Wit Sock, which we still carry. Ancient Art Sock NATO, also part of the birthday sale. And, no wait, I said this is Molly Girl baseline. This is the Molly Girl baseline up here. This was some Mrs. Crosby and their fingering weight, which I forget what it was called right now, but that's what that was. So 6 different, all of our fingering weights basically were part of that shawl. I think Teddy just came in from lunch. Let's see. Okay, I needed a palette cleanser after the What the Fade. I did say WTF at some points in that shawl, in the middle of the garter. But I was still enjoying the Rachel Roden Mystery Knit Along the whole time I was doing that, because it was just one of those little mini skeins a month. That was all 2017. And so Jimmy Beans had a holiday Mystery Knit Along kit in 2017 that I did as well. And that was the, Sugarplum Shawl, also by Rachel Roden. So that's this little delight. So this one was sort of like the Tosh one, in that there were little balls of yarn, but instead of knitting it once a month, you got one every few days, as well as all the tools you need to knit a shawl in the few weeks leading up to Christmas. So that was fun. I really liked the way they did this knit along, because they used, similar to the way I did the What the Fade, they used different yarns. So they basically used their fingering weight yarns. I don't even remember what they are, because they're not yarns that we necessarily carried. At Yarnia, I do know this one is the Allegria, which I love. I mean, it's delightful to knit with. Let's see. I know that this, there's a little sparkle section here. The next to last one is like a gray with a little sparkle in it. I know that's Anzula. And then the last color was a bright green, like lime green. And I love the turquoise and gray. Like, this is definitely my color palette, and I wear this, I wear this quite a bit. But I wasn't sure I wanted a pop of lime green when I got that at the end. And I said, you know what, let me go to Yarnia and look and see what we have that's a little bit fun and a pop that I can put on the edge. And there's like this applied lace leaf thing, which I did in Balhoya in Venom, something, some color like that. So, and I think the original color was Balhoya as well, and I just subbed it out for one that sort of went with the gray and turquoise vibe a little better, I thought. Made it a little more muted. I mean, it's a little variegated, which isn't ideal for lace, but I like the color. Love Potion. That's the name of this color. I feel like we might have one skein left, or had at the beginning of our birthday sale. So this was my last 2017 knit-along. 2017 was definitely a year of mystery knit-alongs. The next one that I did was this one. So before Yarnia had opened, I had gone to a trunk show for Wollonvine and got 3 skeins of her sparkle fingering base, and I forget what she calls it, but her sparkle fingering base in the I Am No Bird color, which I love, and I know it's one of her favorite colorways too, and I totally get why. But I had 3 skeins of it, and I didn't know, I knew I wanted to make a shawl, because I love a big shawl. I love a 2.5 skein shawl. That's like my perfect wrap-up size. But I didn't know what I want to make. I was like debating, and then Ysolda Teague announced her mystery knit-along for Gloamin-Tide. And it was written for 3 colors of fingering weight yarn, or maybe 4, in like a in a low contrast, sort of like low contrast 4 different colors. And I decided, why don't I just do this with my 3 skeins of Wollonvine. So that's what I did. So this is the Gloamin-Tide in 1 color. And this is literally my, like, you know, it can go with anything because it's sort of it reads gray, but there's actually a ton of colors in it. See, there's like these little slip stitch sections, there's some garter sections, there's some eyelet sections. And then the cool thing about this shawl, which of course you didn't know, and Ysolda is a master of construction, you did not know the shape of this shawl when you started, and you basically like cast on here and like knit, knit, knit this wedge to like somewhere around here and then stopped. And then you started over here and knit, 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 and had like a triangle and stopped. And then you cast on a bunch of stitches and knit and then continued in this wedge and this triangle and then like decreased to the center here, which was really cool because it meant there was no bind off when you got to the end. So that was really fun. The thing that wasn't as fun on this one was that, you know, when you were doing the garter over here, it's great because it's just knitting. Once you get to the garter in the middle, there's a lot of purling. So, yeah, this ended up being a lot of purling, and I would forget which row I was on and like knit 2 rows in a row, and then I'd have stockinette and I had to rip back. So that was my only annoying thing, but that was user error because I couldn't remember whether I was supposed to knit or purl to make the garter. I mean, I knew, it's just I was doing it while watching TV and didn't pay attention. But yeah, that was really cool that you like finished this MKAL and then you were like, haha, 3 ends to weave in, right? Like 1, 2, 3, and that's it. No binding off. Ta-da, you're done. So I love this. Like I said, this is like my, you know, very subdued winter shawl. Can go with anything. And it's a little sparkly, so it's fun that way. I love a little sparkle. And it's like one of those when you get up close you see all the different colors, but when it's farther away it just looks like a gray shawl. I think like gray isn't always the most fun color to knit, but it certainly is a wardrobe staple, and I'm super glad I have this one. Love it. I took a little bit of a mystery knit-along hiatus after that one. And the next time I started a mystery knit-along was actually during COVID. I had grabbed a skein of, what's it? What is this? Apple Tree Knits, her lace, silk lace in a gradient, a dark rainbow gradient that she had dyed and put on her website, so it's not something we carried in the store, although we do have lace silk. We have at least a couple or 3 skeins. Apple Tree Knits, also part of the birthday sale if there's any left. So Helen Stewart announced her Stillness shawl mystery knit along, and I was like, great, I'm going to use, and it's obviously a fingering weight shawl in multiple colors, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this mystery knit along, but I'm going to do it in lace weight gradient, so go for the texture. So that's what I did, and I had to size down my needle pretty considerably to get a gauge on the lace that made sense. And I have not finished it yet. I did finish all of the mystery knit along part, but this was a 150. Let's see. Ooh, I found my yarn cutter. Yes, this is perfect. I'm going on a flight later today. I need this. This was 845 yards. 5 1/4 ounces of lace weight silk. And it was a full rainbow. So started at purple. You can see I'm transitioning to green, and I've still got all that to go. Yeah. So basically I started this in 2020, Then I had to get on baby knits, and Teddy was born, and then I had an infant. So I haven't gotten back to this yet. But I'll show you the mystery part of this. So this is how the shawl looked. It had this texture at the top, and then there's lace. It's beautiful. I just love this one. And then, because I needed to add more length, I'm putting in some Japanese lace from the Stitch Dictionary down here, and then I'm going to go back and do some of these textures all over again towards the bottom. That's my plan. This is a long-term project. I think I talked about it in my January roundup of everything, but this was a mystery knit-along, or at least it started out as one. Let's see. And I have 2 more that I've done in the past 12 months. My next one was such a fast knit, and I love this so much. I'm really looking forward to it for this year. I'm going to switch my battery real fast. Okay, so this is the Winter Spice Shawl by Ksenia Naidyon. This was the Madeline Tosh 12 Days of Tosh from last year. And we had, I think, a couple left over, like right before Christmas. And I was like, yay, I'm going to take one. Basically, you got a color every day. You knit your little bit every day. It's all in DK. So the weight is great. It's so, look at this, on a gray, it's just like a beautiful little pops of color. And again, like Madeline Tosh is a color goddess. Everything she does, like, coordinates so well, and these are definitely colors I wouldn't have normally picked to go together, but they are amazing, and I love it so much, and I get so many compliments every time I wear this. So I'm looking forward to 12 Days of Tosh this year, because I can't wait. I want to do it again. Maybe I'll do the crochet version, because there was another version of this for this kit that was a crochet version, so maybe I'll do crochet this year. But look at the tassels. Yeah, but this is Winter Spice by Ksenia Naidyon. This was great. I'm sure you remember it from when we did Vlogmas last year. I was knitting on my little Winter Spice every day. So love it. This one was great. And then my most recent is, of course, my Miss May. So I did the Miss May Mystery Knit Along. Miss May shawl is by Helen Stewart, and we got the La Bien May Cashmerino, and I've been dying to use it. The colors are gorgeous, and I was like, you know what? I can do an MKAL and use Cashmerino, and I have been wearing this shawl nonstop. This has been my shawl of the summer. I wear it traveling. It's super light. That Cashmerino, La Bien May Cashmerino, is like light as a feather. So like the finished product is just like a dream, a little cream puff. I love it so much, and it is still cozy enough like to keep air conditioning off. So I love this, my Miss May MKAL. I talked about it a lot when I was doing it on the podcast last spring. But yeah, I think, you know, I have a hard time like committing to a shawl that I'm like dying to knit. I do almost all my shawls as either knit-alongs, like I did Soraya and the Garden State shawl, you remember, as like knit-alongs with Yarnia. And then I did all of these as mystery knit-alongs. I love knitting a shawl, but I definitely like my shawl knitting to be a group activity. Hence, MKALs. So I hope you enjoyed my little retrospective of all my MKALs that I participated in. And comment down below, are you going to be in the Stephen West knit-along? I know we talked about this and we had the comments down below. There's a lot of people that would do MKALs or not. That was on our last episode. Kathleen talked about all that. I hope next time we do an MKAL, I have podcasters joining me and we can all talk about it together as we go through it. But I hope you guys have a great day. Be sure to like and subscribe and all those things. Sign up for our newsletter at shopyarnia.com so you'll learn all about what's coming in our birthday sale starting October 3rd online. Y'all have a great day.